This is the all-new Lenovo Legion GO S, and in this video we're going to be testing out gaming performance and battery life with this new Z2 Go powered handheld, and overall I've been having a pretty good time with it. I've already made one kind of in-depth first look video. If you're interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link in the description. And if you're not familiar with the Legion GO S, basically what we've got here is an 8-inch 120Hz VRR display. It's powered by the AMD Ryzen Z2 Go APU, 32 gigs of RAM, and a 1TB M.2 SSD. With this one, I've got a few things to cover, and we're going to jump right into my game capture in just a bit because I wanted to give you an idea about the stock power profiles. But before we get started, I do want to mention that this video is sponsored by URCD Keys. I've been using this site for quite some time now. They offer Steam keys, Uplay, Ubisoft, but the main thing I pick up over here are Windows 11 Pro keys. And right now, if you use code ETA, you can get 25% off. So at checkout, we'll just enter the code ETA. That's going to bring the price down to $22.88. They're going to email you that key, and then you can activate Windows. Speaking of that, let's head over to a new PC that I recently built. As you can see, we're running Windows 11, and from Settings, we're going to go to Activation Settings. It's going to tell us that we're not active. We don't have a key installed, so we're just going to paste it right in here, choose Next. It's going to activate Windows for us, and we're ready to go. If you're in need of cheap Windows keys, I'll leave a link in the description, and remember, you can use code ETA for 25% off. Moving over to the game capture so we can get a better look at this. As you can see, we've got that Ryzen Z2 Go, 32 gigs of LPDDR5 at 6400, and of course the 12CU Radeon iGPU. From our quick menu, you can see we've got a couple different profiles: Performance, Power Saving, Custom, Custom 2. And if we go back over to Performance here, we've also got Quiet Mode in Performance, Balanced Performance, and at the very bottom, we've got our OS power mode. If I restore the default here, this is going to be our default setting for performance. So obviously performance, thermal mode performance, and our OS mode performance. To give you an idea, we'll just put a load on the CPU, and this jumps up to 32 watts and then comes back down to 25. And I've seen it kind of even off around 21. So that's performance mode here. I'm going to call it 25 watts is performance mode with this unit. Now I want to check out quiet mode. So we'll stop the test. Open this back up. Power saving. Let's restore the default so we know for sure. Power saving, thermal mode quiet, OS mode efficiency, and these are basically the two profiles that we have out of the box, at least right now at the time I'm making this video. Run a stress test, 10 watts. So we've got a 10 watt and a 25 watt. And of course, with the customs, we can go up to 25 watts with a boost for 2 seconds up to 35. And on AC power plugged into the wall, we can go all the way up to 40 watts continuously with this unit. But for this video, what I wanted to do was test out performance mode and power saving, obviously for better battery life and lower end games. And the first one I wanted to show off was Cyberpunk 2077. Now with the Legion GO S, we've got a 16:10 aspect ratio display. And from Legion Space, the built-in software, we've got 3 different resolutions we can choose from. Inside of the game, you can use more if you want to, but our base resolutions are 1280 by 800, 1600 by 1000, and 1920 by 1200. Right now, we're at 1600 by 1000 low with FSR frame gen on for Cyberpunk 2077. Not too bad. I mean, we're seeing an average of around 75 FPS with it set up like this. And I know there's some people out there that just don't like frame gen, so I wanted to test it without. And we're going to keep the same resolution, basically same settings except for frame gen turned off. And with these settings, we're now seeing an average of around 52 FPS. Dropping it down to 800p will net us around 68 at low settings with FSR set to performance. But yeah, I mean, we're working with that Z2 Go APU. And with this chip, we've got 4 cores, 8 threads. And the iGPU is based on RDNA 2 with 12 compute units. So basically, this chip is a 6800U with only 4 cores and 8 threads. The next one we've got here is Spiderman 2, and with this, I did have to take the wattage up just a bit. We can do a maximum of around 33 watts on battery, up to 40 watts continuously on wall power. But one thing you might notice if you keep an eye on Afterburner in the top left-hand corner, with these newer games, or even just 3D games in general that have been released in the last 5 years or so, our CPU utilization is way up there. And that's because obviously we've only got 4 cores and 8 threads here. Really needs to kind of dig into all of them. So we're anywhere from 85 up to 100% CPU utilization while playing games. Here's Forza Horizon 5, we're at 1200p, medium, with FSR set to balanced. Actually pretty decent performance here, but with some of the newer iGPUs, the ones based on RDNA 3 like the 780M, I don't need any FSR, we can just do this at medium 1200p and see an average of around 90 FPS over there. Here's Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, 1600 by 1000, low settings, FSR frame gen on. Here's Doom Eternal, and with this I forgot to swap over to 16 by 10, so we're actually at 16 by 9. See the black bars on the top and bottom, but it is 1080p, and I think at 1200 we'd only lose maybe a couple frames. Not bad at all. You could use dynamic resolution scaling with this game and get it up to 120 to match the screen's refresh rate, but with it like this, we're seeing an average of around 88 FPS. And the last one I wanted to test before we move over to battery life is Fortnite. We're at 1600 by 1000, low settings, average of around 74 FPS. And of course, if you take it down to 800, it's going to net you a lot better performance here. But I do like running this at a higher resolution, and the Z2 Go can handle this game pretty decently. Now I want to talk about battery life, and the Lenovo Legion GO S actually has a 55.5 watt hour battery. Right now we've got a lower end 2D game. This is Shredder's Revenge. We're in quiet mode, and at the very bottom of Afterburner you can see our total battery draw. Now that's everything going on with the unit, screen, Wi-Fi. I've got the RGB off. We're only pulling around 9.8 watts in total from the battery, which is going to net us some pretty decent battery life. But this is an easier to run game. It doesn't need to pull that much. With something like Cyberpunk 2077, using the same settings that we were before, performance profile, so a 25 watt TDP, total battery draw now jumps up to 35 watts. So we know exactly how much this is pulling from the battery, and we know the battery size, so this is going to give us a good idea of what kind of battery life we can get out of the Legion GO S. So we've got a 55.5 watt hour battery. Through my testing, screen brightness was at 50%. We were in 60 Hz mode because going up to 120 will draw a little more. RGB is off, Wi-Fi is on. In quiet mode with Shredder's Revenge or 2D gaming, total draw of 9.5 watts. That's going to net us close to 6 hours of runtime. Taking it up to a newer AAA game in performance mode at that 25 watt TDP, we had a total battery draw of around 35 watts. So that's going to give us around 1 hour and 35 minutes out of this 55.5 watt hour battery. There's a lot of mid-range games that we can actually run on this at full speed, 15 to 18 watts. So with that, we're going to get better battery life than we see in performance mode, doing a custom TDP. And in my full review, I'll have some real world battery life testing. This is more of an estimate, but knowing exactly what we know, this is going to get us real close. So it definitely looks like the new Z2 Go APU is struggling with some of these AAA games at higher resolutions without frame gen, but with frame gen enabled, a lot of this stuff does become playable. One thing that we're really going to have to think about with this is bringing the resolution down to 800p. We'll talk more about that and test more in my full review video. It should be coming up in the next 3 days or so, so keep an eye on the channel, but I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. With what you've seen so far, is this something you're thinking about picking up? Are you going to skip it, wait for the Legion Go 2 with that Z2 Extreme? Personally, that's the one I'm really excited about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're interested in learning a little more about the Lenovo Legion Go S, I'll leave some links in the description. But that's it for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.